All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you right there, and just like me right here. So Eddie Van Halen is finally going to get a tribute. So I'll talk about that and how it makes total sense, right? It does. Before I go there, Jeff Larson, his album Adobe Home. Uh, Jeff, part of a trilogy of albums I've been featuring lately, including the new Jerry Beckley album and the new Jack Tempchin album, all three of which had Jeff as either a producer, a writer, an arranger. Jeff Larson knows what he's doing, and so you should check out his music. And the other two guys I mentioned, I believe all three albums courtesy of Blue Elon Music, which is a pretty cool record label. They have a lot of more rootsy and more traditional sounding rock and folky stuff and some pop. New album, I think, by Soul Asylum, too, they just put out, which, if you're a fan of that band, they're pretty interesting. I don't hate Soul Asylum. I don't hate them. Um, anyway, check that stuff out. Jeff Larson, his new album, Adobe Home. All right. So, yes, Eddie Van Halen technically is finally getting a tribute. It's coming in the form of this new book by Alex Van Halen. So, rather than a concert, which I really thought the Best of Both Worlds tour would feature, um, I don't know. I guess I just thought this was going to be an opportunity for these guys to pay tribute to Ed. My guess is Sammy probably wanted to do more for Ed, but because he could never get a hold of Alex Van Halen, that didn't occur. The book is set to arrive on October 22nd. I haven't bought a rock and roll book when it came out in some time. It's been a long time since I've been this eager to read or listen to a book. The spoken word edition will be by Alex himself. And then there's music, which is pretty cool. There's an unfinished song called Unfinished, which will feature Alex and Ed and will be included in his narrative on the audiobook. So, probably in this case, I know it's kind of lazy, but the audiobook, which again comes out on October 22nd, uh, might be a good idea. Harper Collins is the publisher. Unfinished is the last piece of music that they wrote together before Eddie's death at age 65 in 2020. I can't believe it's been like 4 years. It's just crazy. The memoir appears to be the final work of Alex, as he and Sammy don't seem to get along. And Sammy Hagar was really kind of ticked off that Alex sold all of his stuff, all of his equipment, including drums, and he basically, wiped his hands of this, and he's not coming back. If you haven't been following this story, I've been talking about this in multiple videos. Sammy tried, I guess, on like 12 different occasions to get a hold of Alex. Email, text message, phone call, left a message on a machine, which is weird. I didn't think people had those anymore. Maybe Alex probably does. He's probably stuck in a different time period. And that's not so bad. Imagine having to kind of press a button and listen to a message again. I don't know. It would be weird, but I'm sure it was maybe a little more high tech than that. So yeah, he tried to just hang out with Alex and it didn't work out. It's kind of like Steve Perry and Neil Sean having that coffee. This could be worse, though. Well, I don't know if it's worse, but it could be just as bad. Brothers, by the way, the memoir is apparently nothing like you've ever read before. It's more of a personal story of friendship and music and family and brotherly love. And essentially, it winds up being like a love letter to his brother. And we have to assume that Alex is devastated by this, and there's no reason for him to do anything else. Um, And so Van Halen as a brand over the last, I don't know, 30 plus years have been very reclusive. This has been their MO. And I think a lot of it comes from Dave being fairly mysterious and quirky, and you never know what he's going to do next. And then Alex not really wanting the limelight. I think that's what this is here. He's just not wanting to go out there and celebrate anything. He just wants to tell a story, and he wants people to get his point of view on things. Will the book have anything interesting? You know, it would be kind of cool if he sheds some light on his relationship with Sammy and maybe Dave to a lesser extent, but especially Sammy, to find out, you know, what the blockage is there, what the problem is. But as far as a tribute to Ed, this is going to be it. And you know what? It makes sense. It's the Van Halen way. I'm still a little bummed out that they didn't have a tribute to Eddie Van Halen. I hear all the time when people are dying. I mean, Jack Russell just passed away. I think they're going to do a tribute to Jack Russell. I've heard. And so, you know, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that, but it's just bizarre how there's been no official tribute still to Eddie Van Halen. Some people will say this whole Best of Both Worlds tour is devoted to Ed. It really isn't. It's more devoted to the Sammy era of Van Halen with a couple of older tunes in there, and Joe doing his best to try to be Ed. By the way, Joe is not Ed. I've listened to a number of these live versions with Joe, and Joe does a nice job, but it's kind of like putting Steve Morse in Deep Purple. It just, he's not Richie Blackmore. He plays a completely different style. I think Joe does better than probably anybody could at this, maybe, but man, it just shows you how difficult it is. The tone, the texture, just the way Ed would do stuff with certain notes and then come back out of nowhere and just hit you in the face. Joe is a little bit more, I don't know. He's a little bit more businesslike in his approach to the guitar, whereas Ed was just, you know, a bull in a china shop, and he somehow made it work, and that's why it's hard to duplicate what he did. And so Joe's doing a good job, but Ed is just probably unduplicatable, if that's a word. I don't know if it's a word. I make up words all the time. So anyway, folks, I would check out this new book. I think I've done a couple of videos on this, but, you know, it just dawned on me. I mean, this is the tribute to Eddie Van Halen. Finally, a decent tribute. And it comes out on October 22nd, not in the form of a concert, but the Van Halen franchise, they would probably have it no other way. You know, why do a tribute when we can just write a book and tell the full story? And that way, you know, it's told from the point of view of his brother and not somebody in the industry who had an axe to grind with Ed, which apparently were many people. It would be interesting if, you know, he went back through some of these, you know, issues like the tour that they did with Sammy back in what, like 2004 or something like that. And that didn't go so well. It'd be good just to know his thoughts on who Ed liked more. Did he like Sammy more, or did he like Dave more? So maybe we'll find that stuff out. Maybe it's irrelevant. I think inquiring minds would like to know at the end of the day, but it will be a tribute, and that I think is a good thing. So one more time for Jeff Larson, Adobe Home. Check this out along with Jerry Beckley's self-titled album and music from Jack Tempchin. He's got an album out there too, and Jeff Larson is on all three of them, and it's good music. Maybe it won't burn the house down, but it's good music, and it won't make your ears bleed for the most part. All right, I'm done. Adios, amigos. Have a great day, and stay frosty.